Another one that is a French writer, but it's not easy to be apply. The things are very easy to say, but it's not easy to be apply. And if you can apply, it's not easy to be digest. That is a big task which can be focuses by this Ionesco, Beckett, and the comparative study of both of this. With this comparative study of this, I want to tell you that when you are going to be comparative study, please keep in mind few things in your mind. Which are the few things? Comparative study, it means what? First you have to completely, there is the need of understanding of one aspect, that is the chair. Another, there is the need of the detail of waiting for the Godot. When you read thoroughly again and again the chair, again and again the waiting for the Godot, again and again reading, constant reading give the concrete idea of similarities and contrary. And after that complete research of reading, you get the basic idea of that is what are the actual points between this two. However, once it was performed in 1953, Samuel Beckett, that the abundance of the critical comment, and that is we can call contemporary classic. And how we can call contemporary task, because both of this, the dialogue is going to be very horrible. There are very work is also going to be very helpless. Mental illness, physical illness, imbalance of the mental, this all things is going to be justification of absurdity. That's why somehow we can call it's typical absurd play. This both justify in very depressive manner. Another one thing I want to discuss with that, contrary, it's useful when you criticize something in a proper manner. When you are not going to be in the proper manner, please keep in mind that you are going to be do something like it become very hopeless in your life. When the orator shows up, believe it or not, he is actually visible. Meaning is, he is played by a real actor, just like the old man and his wife. Old man is bursting with the people. He is so happy that his message is finally heard, and he feels that old man and old wife both feel that my message is going to be delivered. But that message cannot be delivered by only the words, by only the language, by only for to speak, but it is ready to understand. And when they are going to be understand, they really try to attempt on their character, that is, now we become very isolated, now we become very depressive, now we become very dependent, and at this dependent age we become helpless and we have no choice. That's why we are going to be die. And this absurdity, it's create a very tremendous tragedy in my mind and in so many minds of audience who can observing this, both of this drama. And another one, that is somehow we can call that Beckett focuses on absurdity because Beckett lost his father in 1933, and when he lost his father, he is also going to live like a very absurd life. And with absurd life, he focuses on that now there is the need of something concrete material, concrete vision of the life. And that's why he focuses on the writing. And when they start writing, even dip into the writing, and then he focuses that if you want to write something in a good manner, we have to focus on absurdity. So as per my advice, as per the students of the literature, I want to give the message to everybody that if you focus on the absurdity, it proves that your work is not complete and clear. Somehow your work is complete and clear, but when somebody else, that he or she can feel when he read when he observed that he or she has to be feel what happened with the next, why they are doing like this. There is no proper end, there is no proper justification, there is no clear things in it. And when the question arises, when the criticism arises, it's give the good charm of your work. And this kinds of writing skill is focuses on the literature of today's generation. It's a very difficult task, because in today's generation, today's writers cannot be write absurd play, absurd drama, absurd novel in a easy way. That's why it become a very difficult task for normal human men. And finally, I want to tell that totally we have only 4 things which we have to keep in mind: 4 characters and 4 symbols. 4 characters, 2 characters, old men, old wives from the chair. 2 characters, 2 characters from another one, that is waiting for the Godot. Waiting for the Godot, Pozo and Lucky. So total 4 characters we have to keep in mind, that is Pozo, Lucky, old man and old wife. And at the ending of the play, they don't get it anything. That is the tragedy of this 2 drama. And what are the 4 symbolic term in this 2? That is in the chair, the chair. Another one, that is invisible guest. Invisible guest which cannot be shown by us, but that can be observing, greeting, saluted by the characters. These 2 terms are very important in the drama of the chair. And another 2 aspects, it's very important in the drama of Samuel Beckett, Waiting for the Godot. That is the clock. Clock, it's very symbolic, because the way they lost their clock, and Pozo is going to be in search, and that time he become blind, it gives the message that now he cannot find out. It means when you lost your opportunity, you cannot find out anything in your life. That's why we have to capture our opportunity by our own self. That's why one clock is very symbolic, and this 2 characters motion led symbolic expression, that is one become blind and one become mute. That is also give the justification of that when God give you something and you lost something, God is also not ready to help you. That's why whatever the God gives us, we have to keep it with ourselves in a very proper manner, very symbolic term, in a very good phenomenon of the life. That's why this 4 topics, 4 things are very important when you talk about the chair and the waiting for the Godot. In the chair, I already discussed 2 characters. In waiting for the Godot, 2 characters. And in the chair, 2 main aspects, and in the waiting for the Godot, another 2 main aspects. And some critics refers to the Ionesco as the grand master of the theatre of the absurdist play, because it's another one, that is the Bald Soprano, produced in Paris 3 years before Waiting for the Godot, because before waiting for the Godot published another drama produced in Paris by Ionesco, reigned for 20 years and was the first example of the anti-theatre. Anti-theatre, it means what? Absurdity of the theatre which can be justified with anti-theaterity. Anti, it means which is related to some classical, which is something old in a new wrapper. Old in a new wrapper, it's like old, it is gold, but it can be wrapping by the new things. That's why we call the anti-theatre. Although it seems to follow the outline for the light comedy by using a drawing room setting. It's a light comedy. In both the play we can find out the very light comedy, because at the beginning in the drawing room people are sitting on the chair, we cannot see in them, it's create a very comic scene for everybody's. It quickly transformed the clinched dialogue of the 2 model British families into the madness and the hysteria. And the dialogues which is focuses on the madness and hysteria. Madness, it's related to inability of the mind, and hysteria. Hysteria, it's a very dangerous physical problem, but somehow people take very lightly, and it creates also the comic reflections in another minds. This was absurdity in the typical sense of as a hilarious farce. Hilarious farce, it is also the symbolic term. This was not the kind of the absurdity represented by the Beckett, whose work was characterized by the despair and deprivations. Despair and deprivation is always there in the chair also and in the Samuel Beckett also. His work more closely resembles Camus' idea of the absurd in the myth of Sisyphus. Absurd of Sisyphus has also become very famous. Beckett's character live in a world that no longer makes sense, that has no God and offers no easy answers or solutions. When you cannot find out God, you don't have any solutions. You become very helpless. Godot never comes. So many people waiting for Godot, but Godot never comes. That proves that you are waiting for God for your solution, but you cannot find out that God. It's like that Godot. And another one, that is no more Christian sense is here justify, only the sense of despair is there. Another, Ionesco once remarked, that is in his novel Molloy is a character state. You would do better, at least no worse, to obligate text than blacken margins, to feel in the halls of the words till all is in blank, flat, and the whole glossary business looks like what is senseless, speechless, uselessness, that everything can be justified. Speechless, useless, senseless, hopeless, helpless, careless, that less justify the absurdity of the play. It proves the misery of the man. Ionesco made every attempt to explain himself and his work to the public. Beckett did just the opposite. He resisted the impulses to explain, to categorize his material. In fact, he abhorred all attempts to do so. He wanted from and content to remain inspirable, and reading or experience of his work speak of it himself. This things is going to be focuses, although he attempted to be silent on the subject of his work, edging with the French poet Baudelaire about the devastating vanity and the uselessness of explaining anything to anyone. Beckett also focuses on that. Why I have to explain everything to everyone? It's my thing. I am going to be discussed. I am not ready to explain. Why every time I have to give explanation? If I want to go through criticism, I don't want to give it. Because his money and toyed with the idea of the making its career of Beckett. His essay on Joyce for our examinations, his book on the Proust, and his reviews for the Bookman and the Criterion were all convinced. Beckett criticism became more personal. He wrote in the defense of the friends and fellows artists who were unjustly attacked or ignored on absurdity of absurd theatre. He tried on to attack on them, because the time is not perhaps altogether too green for the wild suggestions that art has nothing to do with clarity. And at last, Pozzo is on way to the market to sell his slave Lucky. He pauses for a while to converse with Wilmeter and Estrajona. Lucky entertains them by dancing and the thinking. Pozzo and Lucky leave. The thing is going to the next night. Lucky and Pozzo enter again, but this time Pozzo is a blind and Lucky is become mute like a dumb. That focuses to that. Now we have to wait something in the character it's going to be developed, and that develop it's become very difficult task for everyone. So this is the ending of the play, and curtains is going to be fall. That what proves, it gives a wonderful messages to the everyone that we are in search of something, but we don't get it. We are in search of Godot, it means God. We are in search of watch of Pozzo. We are in search of why Lucky is going to be viewed. We are in search of that why they are the invisible characters on the chair. Why old men and wives are going to be die. Why the orator cannot orate anything, cannot speak anything. This all are the questions put it in our mind with the search of this the new thing. Why? We have no clear idea after completion of the play. And when you don't clear, when you no justify anything, it gives image in your mind that is it's absurd play. So today I am going to deal with that absurd, theatre of absurd. This both are the wonderful example in English literature, that is The Chair by the Ionesco and Samuel Beckett's Waiting for the Godot. This both are the wonderful example. Both get the Nobel Prize on their special theatre of absurd work. That's why I take these two example for the explanation. Thank you so much and hope all of you understand.
Sandhan, All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.